So today we're looking at the best perks in Dead by Daylight for survivors. The way I'm going to be judging this is going to be based on the power of the perks and not so much the perks that have other uses such as We're Gonna Live Forever. The perks in this list are the perks that will help you win a match, so let's get into it. Balanced Landing is my first pick and one that I feel is probably slightly controversial, but let me explain myself. Balanced Landing activates when falling from something and hitting the ground, where it gives you a speed boost of 150%. The reason why this is so good is because it is very easy to control when you want to trigger it. Where perks like Sprint Burst and Lithe can be triggered in more undesirable times during a chase, Balanced Landing in my opinion is the perfect exhaustion perk. Its only downside really is that some maps don't really have many drop spots. Balanced Landing also has a passive ability that reduces your stagger when falling and hitting the ground, which can help considerably in chases. This effect also still procs regardless if you're exhausted or not. One of the survivor's biggest downfalls when getting chased is this stagger effect. Inner Strength is in our number 9 spot. Inner Strength is effectively a better self-care. It allows the player after breaking a dull totem to hide in a locker for 8 seconds and heal themselves. This is so effective due to its speed and the fact that it encourages the player to break totems, and it can also do stuff like deny no-ed. The fact it doesn't take about 30 to 40 seconds like self-care does is also a considerable improvement, and helps to optimize your team's use of time. In general, Inner Strength is just quite a powerful healing perk. It can also be amazing for escaping the basement when paired with other perks like Head On and Quick and Quiet. Will Make It is a perk I feel a lot of people sleep on. I don't see it very often in public games, but whenever I play with friends, I always try and make them run it. Will Make It doubles your healing speed after unhooking someone for 120 seconds, which is kind of a long time. Put simply, the fact that you can heal someone at twice the speed is just insane. Healing is already quite slow, and often wastes large chunks of time in a match, even more so if you have 4 people self-caring. It's pretty much always a better option to heal each other rather than just heal yourself, and the fact that Will Make It doubles the healing speed and can also be used in conjunction with other healing items makes it an amazing perk in my book. Adrenaline is a perk that can come in clutch at the most perfect time due to its ability to instantly heal a health state upon the exit gates being powered, as well as giving you a 150% speed boost briefly. Adrenaline in a sense is like the survivor's no-ed. There can be 3 people fully down, but once the last gen is popped, those 3 people could all be up and instantly, and because of the speed boost they can easily evade the killer upon doing so. It's a great anti-slug perk, it's great for encouraging survivors to push for gen completion over healing. The reason why this isn't higher is because the perk is fairly situational. It does literally nothing until the exit gates are powered, and even then, sometimes if you're fully healed and it's been a fairly easy game, then all you get is a speed boost. Oh yeah, and also it activates when the hatch gets closed. I cannot stress the amount of times I've escaped because I crawled and hid somewhere and got up due to the hatch being closed. Borrowed Time is a must-have in my opinion. It's a courtesy to your fellow teammates and has no downside really. The point of Borrowed Time is to negate tunneling, which it does by applying the endurance status effect after unhooking someone in the killer's terror radius. Which means that if the killer decides to then hit that person you just saved, then instead of them going down, they get the deep wound status effect and have an extra chance to escape. This perk is just so helpful. It punishes killers who play badly, camp and tunnel. This perk can save games and whole teams. It has minimal drawbacks, and is an incredibly effective way to almost always get a safe hook save. If you have access to Borrowed Time, you should always try and bring it. If you're playing with friends, then you can probably get away with 2 people having it. As with communication, you can figure out if the killer tunnels and send someone who has BT, and if they don't, then anyone can save. Simple. Iron Will is my favourite perk in the game, simply for the fact that it can make you near undetectable to the killer. I for one use sound, especially injured sounds, as one of my main sources of information when searching for survivors in a chase. So when someone runs Iron Will, it can often make me lose them. Iron Will can allow you to effectively play the whole game injured if you wanted, paired with Dead Hard maybe. A lot of the time in games it can be helpful because it means you don't need to immediately heal. When you're panting and being really loud, it can kind of stress you out and make you play far more cautiously. With Iron Will there are times when you forget that you're even injured. Basically my point is that it completely takes away the injured noises you make, and it's one of those things that in theory sounds kind of alright, but in practice can save you constantly. Unbreakable is a game saver and comes in at number 4. Unbreakable is a simple yet effective perk which allows you to pick yourself up off the ground without having to wait for a teammate. It also gives you a slight bump to recovery speed. This perk is great for anti-slugging. It makes a game that may have just snowballed recoverable and generally punishes killers who don't hook. This perk has saved countless games I've been in, where everyone was down, but because someone has Unbreakable, it was recovered. This is a clutch perk that comes in very handy. Decisive Strike comes in at 3. Decisive Strike is another anti-tunneling perk, which gives you a 60-second window after being unhooked to save yourself from the killer's grasp if he manages to down you and pick you up again. This is good simply because it punishes tunneling and camping. It gives you a free save as long as you hit the skill check, and in general is another one of those perks that come in clutch. However, it does get misused and abused by people who use it as an excuse to do generators in front of the killer. As if they get grabbed, they can just DS, and often they'll run to a locker so a killer can't avoid it. In this way, it's infuriating as a killer, and not fair on many occasions. As a survivor though, even if you aren't abusing it, it's incredibly powerful. Dead Hard is a perk I've always hated. The fact that it has the ability to entirely negate damage I think is just outright wrong. Even perks like Borrowed Time, specifically meant for anti-tunneling, gives you Deep Wound, and if used correctly, it effectively makes you a 3-hit kill instead of a 2-hit kill. It can also negate damage from 1-hit down attacks like Oni's Charge Slam. Along with negating damage, it also boosts you forward, allowing it to be used to gain distance and also negate a hit. This can be extremely infuriating to play against on loops like Killer Shack or the Coldwind Cowtree. It can also be effectively paired with Balanced Landings, passive ability, to make it near impossible to catch someone on the Destroyed House on Haddonfield, and other powerful loops that have different platforms. Object of Obsession comes in at number 1. It's just one of those perks where you have to read the description a few times, like a double take, and go, wait, it actually does that? How is that fair? Object creates an aura bond between you, if you're the obsession, and the killer. With this aura bond, you can see where the killer is at all times. Yep, that's the perk. Now the killer can also see you, but only if you look in their direction, which means the survivor gets control over when the killer sees them. This perk is so powerful because it can give insane levels of information to a team on comms, even if you are solo. The amount of information it gives you is very powerful. It can basically make any loop an infinite, even more so if it's a loop with high walls. You can just effectively directly react to what the killer does. If they backpedal, you see it. If they change direction, you see it. This can also be used to help teammates, who you can give constant information to when in the chase, even from the other side of the map. Object's only downsides are that it can't detect undetectable killers, but that's not really too bad, and also the fact that if you run this perk, 99% of the time you're going to get tunneled into oblivion, which is why an object user will often run DS, and have a team with Borrowed Time. Alright, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed. Feel free to leave your own top 10 perks in the comments. Thanks, and goodbye.